Hello and welcome to a tactical history of Liverpool. Following their goalless draw in the first leg at Anfield, Liverpool headed to Munich in a solid position for the second. They may not have had the cushion of a lead or the support of the Kop, however Bayern had failed to score any away goals in the first leg, so Liverpool would have the advantage should they put the ball in the net. Bill Shankly spent the run-up to this tie confined to his bed due to illness, but his game plan was an attacking one. He made one change from the side that we saw in episode 32, with midfielder Brian Hall replaced with attacker Bobby Graham on the right flank. Bayern made two changes, as Johnny Hansen replaced Hervé Koppenhofer in defence, and Rainer Zobel came in for Edgar Schneider in midfield. Now, unfortunately all we have is footage from the second half. Frankly, I don't know why, yet it is another reminder of how much of football history has been lost. Most matches from this period weren't filmed, and it seems even those that were often have large chunks missing. Annoyingly, this means we miss what was probably the most interesting part of the game. Gerd Müller, back in the striking role after his turn in midfield in the first leg, scored 2 goals. However, Alun Evans pulled one back for the Reds with a volley. This goal was apparently so stunning it was awarded Goal of the Month in Germany with the highest ever vote for a single goal, making him the first foreigner to win the award. "It was certainly the best goal I have ever scored," said Evans. "It was a high-dropping ball which I controlled on my thigh, pivoted and hit home on the volley from the edge of the area." This set the score at 2-1 as the teams came out for the second half. Despite their lead, Bayern didn't resort to the defensive tactics we saw in the first leg. Uli Hoeneß and Müller were back up front, and Franz Beckenbauer was liberated to advance out of defence, carrying the ball forward. Whereas in the first leg it had often appeared that Bayern weren't lining up with any attackers, here they often had 5 men up front, outnumbering Liverpool's defensive line. On the right, Franz Krauthausen and Hoeneß were frequently doubling up on Ian Ross, one occupying him or baiting him out of the back line so that the other could go free or run in behind. Bayern also did this on the opposite flank, albeit to a lesser extent. Wolfgang Zunholz would drift inside or to the other wing, leaving space on the left for Zobel to push forward into from midfield. Even Franz Roth popped up in attack on a number of occasions. Losing, Liverpool appeared to be really struggling to get a grip on the match. Larry Lloyd kept making errors at long balls, either missing or miscontrolling them. He was also unable to get across and help cover Ross, trying to but getting to the ball second. Lloyd was strong in the air, but he definitely lacked the agility of his predecessor Ron Yates. Liverpool was sloppy in possession too, handing the ball back over to Bayern without making them work for it. As a result, it was Bayern who were the much more dangerous side. There were multiple goalmouth scrambles early in the half, so Liverpool could hardly say they weren't warm before Bayern finally added to their lead. Several of these patterns could be clearly seen in the goal. To start the move, Emlyn Hughes gave the ball away cheaply, allowing Bayern to counter. Running 4 versus 4 at Liverpool's defence, Krauthausen and Hoeneß again doubled up on Ross, the former holding his run so that Lloyd left him. They saw Ross step up and face inside towards Krauthausen, which created space down the outside for Hoeneß to attack, running onto Zunholz's pass and scoring from a tight angle. With the added cushion of another goal, Bayern began to ease off. They were never as defensive as they had been in the first leg, however even before Hoeneß's goal they had been very wary. They would push plenty of players up into attack, but as soon as they lost the ball these men would quickly retreat, getting back to strengthen the defence. Liverpool found this hard to break down. Kevin Keegan kept dropping back to help out defensively, and this saw Alun Evans frequently left isolated up front, meaning Liverpool were unable to effectively counter and catch out Bayern. By the time Liverpool had got men forward to support Evans, Bayern had already pulled their men back, and Liverpool were left facing a defensive wall. Bobby Graham was chosen as a more attacking alternative to Brian Hall, but his inability to beat a man meant he rarely stretched play, while Steve Highway was largely anonymous. Keegan and Evans were usually outnumbered, and too often their only supply was aerial balls, which didn't exactly play to their strengths. Chris Lawler did venture forward into Bayern's half to support the forwards, and after Hoeneß's goal, Tommy Smith began to push forward into midfield, helping to play the ball into attack. However, in truth, Liverpool looked devoid of ideas. Bayern formed a strong defensive barrier, and Liverpool didn't seem to have any clue of how to get past it. These were both young sides, but Bayern were further along in their development and were frankly the better team. Earlier in the year they didn't know what to do when faced with Liverpool's pressing, but now they were calm under pressure, playing down one side and switching out to the other as Liverpool chased them. Even as Liverpool searched for a goal, Bayern were the ones that looked likelier to add to the scoreline, so there could be few complaints when the final whistle came and it was the Germans who advanced, seeing Liverpool exit the competition in only the second round. Success in Europe will once again have to wait for the Reds. It's a shame we don't have footage of his goal in this game, but it seems fitting that Alun Evans' final appearance in the series comes against Bayern, the same opponents from his finest moment in a Liverpool shirt. Arriving at Liverpool as a teenager for big money, the Evans signing was an exciting one.
I paid £100,000 for Alun when I was 18-year-old. Yeah. 11.5 stone, strength. And he'd been here at 16-year-old at Anfield, and he had given Ronnie Yeats a hard time. When he was 16-year-old, and he had all the necessities, all the essentials, all the skills. He was cute at his age. He was backing into people and getting fouls. He was quick, and he looked a real prospect because he was so young. He played and scored a lot of goals, and he was responsible for a lot of them.
It hadn't worked out though. Evans clearly had tremendous talent, but he often struggled to convert this technical ability into practical benefits for the team. And that's when he could even get on the pitch. Too often Evans was sidelined by injuries, making it impossible for him to build up any consistency. Keegan's success spelled the end for Evans at Liverpool. Playing similar roles in the team, they didn't really work as a pairing, and so Shankly went with the new boy over Evans. When Kevin came, it was blatantly obvious that he was a very good player, so I wasn't surprised when I was moving on, said Evans. He was full on for 90 minutes. He never stopped. Kevin is a very nice man. We got on very well, but Kevin got along with everybody. After the Bayern loss, Evans played just 4 more matches for Liverpool before being sold to 2nd Division Aston Villa in January. He would spend 3 years there before dropping down a division again, this time joining Walsall, where he would once again win Goal of the Month after knocking Leicester out of the FA Cup in 1978. Evans ended his career in Australia, where he would stay on after his footballing retirement, establishing himself as a painter and decorator in Melbourne. I was just very naive and didn't think my stay at Liverpool would come to an end, he said. When it did and Aston Villa came in, I thought it was fine because Leslie, my wife, was from Wolverhampton, so we would move closer to her home. You can always look back on your life and reflect on it, but I was just living in the moment. You could say I didn't live up to my potential. I reached my peak when I was 20, and then it was all downhill. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to support the channel. You can get updates on what I'm doing by following on Twitter and Facebook, links are in the description, but most importantly by supporting Holding Midfield on Patreon. Without financial support, I can't justify the time it goes into making these videos to keep the channel alive while also receiving access to premium content. Thanks for watching.